Right there, boys and girls. We're up to chapter 5 now of the Firework-Maker's daughter. Let's begin. She pulled herself up with shaking arms and stepped inside. The floor was baking hot and the air was hardly breathable. She walked on, deeper into the earth, deeper than the moonlight went, and heard nothing but silence, and saw nothing but dark rock. Harsh, barren walls rose to left and right. She felt them with her bleeding hands. Then the tunnel opened out into a great cavern. She'd never seen anything so gloomy and empty of life, and her heart sank because she had come all this way and there was nothing here. She sank to the floor. And as if that were a signal, a little flame licked out of the rocky wall for an instant and went out. Then another in a different place. Then another. Then the earth shook and groaned, and with a harsh grating sound the rocky wall tore itself open, and suddenly the cavern was full of light. Leela sat up, astonished, as red fire and flame licked and crackled at the rocky roof. All of a sudden, the grotto was alive with movement, and as 1,000 fire imps swarmed upwards to dash themselves against the rock and smash into 1,000 more, as a wide carpet of boiling lava spread from side to side, as the clang and clash of mighty hammers and anvils rang with the rhythm of a great fire dance. The cavern was full of light and noise. Thousands upon thousands of little fire spirits toiled and blazed and swung hammers and ran to and fro with handfuls of sparks and swarmed against the rocky wall till it melted and slid downwards like soft wax. Then the greedy creatures plunged their red hands into it and lifted up the bubbling sulphur to their tiny mouths, and ate until another mass of rock slid down and smothered them. And then into the heart of the light and the fire and the noise leapt Razvani himself, the great fire fiend, whose body was a mass of flame and whose face a mask of scorching light. Thousands of fire imps scattered as he landed, and even the blazing flames bowed down to him. And so did Leela. In a voice like the roar of a forest fire, Razvani spoke. "By what right have you come to my grotto?" She swallowed hard. It was difficult to breathe because she seemed to be taking fire into her lungs as well as air. "I want to be a firework maker," she managed to say. He laughed a great laugh. "Ha! You? Never! And what do you want from me?" "Royal sulphur," she gasped. At that he slapped his sides and laughed even harder, and a chorus of jeers and shrieks of merriment burst from all the fire imps. "Royal sulphur? Did you hear that? Oh, that's good, that's funny. Well, speak, girl. Have you got the 3 gifts? Leela could only shrug and shake her head. She could hardly speak. "I don't know what they are," she said. "So what were you going to exchange for the royal sulphur?" he roared. I don't know." "You're going to give nothing in exchange." She had nothing to say. She bowed her head. "Well, you've come this far," said the fire fiend, "and there's no going back. Now you're here, you must walk in the flames like every other firework maker. I expect you brought some magic water from my cousin, the goddess of the lake. You've brought nothing for me, but I don't suppose you've forgotten to take care of yourself. Better drink it quickly." "I've got nothing," Leela gasped. "I didn't know about magic water or the 3 gifts." I just wanted to be a firework maker. I'll be a good one, Razvani. I invented self-igniting crackle dragons and shimmering coins. I've learned everything my father could teach me. It's all I want, to be a firework maker, like him. But Razvani merely laughed. Show her the ghosts, he cried, and clapped his blazing hands. Instantly, a crack shivered its way down the rock wall, and out of the opening came a procession of ghosts, each attended by fire demons. The ghosts were so pale and transparent that Leela could hardly see them, but she heard them wailing. Beware, look at me. I came without the 3 gifts. Alas, take warning from me. I hadn't worked at the craft and I wasn't ready. Maiden, turn back. I was arrogant and headstrong. I didn't seek the water from the goddess, and I perished in the flames. Wailing and weeping, the ghosts passed across the lake of fire and vanished into a crack in the opposite wall. That's what happens to those who don't come prepared, said Razvani. But now you must submit yourself as they did. Walk into my flames, Leela. You have come for the royal sulphur. Receive it from my hands. And he laughed louder and spun in a rapid dance, stamping his feet in a wide circle and causing a ring of fire to blaze up around him. Through the lashing red and yellow and orange, his face seemed to waver and flicker, but his voice rang out clearly over the roar and crackle. You want to be a firework maker? Walk into my flames. Your father did in his time, and so did every artist in fire. This is what you've come for. Why are you waiting? She was terribly afraid, but she knew that she must do it. She would rather be a ghost than go back empty-handed and fail at the one thing she had ever wanted. So she took one step forward, then another, and her poor feet burned and blistered so that she cried out loud. Then she took another step, and when she knew she could bear it no longer, she heard a great sound behind her, like a mighty trumpet, and through the blaze a voice was shouting, Leela! The water! Take it! And there was a small figure beside her, thrusting something into her hands. A gourd, a drinking gourd, with a clasp that tore off, before lifting it to her parched lips and drinking deep. All at once, a marvellous coolness spread across her body, and from her right down to the tips of her toes. The pain vanished, and the dryness in her throat and lungs was soothed and moistened. At the entrance to the cave behind her, she could see Chelak shrinking back and covering his face from the heat. She could see Hamlet fanning him with his ears. But she was in the heart of the fire, facing Razvani once again, and the flames were harmless now. They played like fountains of light. They rushed up her legs and arms and across her face like darting birds, and she felt light and joyful, as if she were a flame herself, dancing with pure energy and joy. So you have done it, Razvani said to her. Welcome to the flames, Leela. And the royal sulphur? She said. Ah, when you reach the heart of the fire, all your illusions vanish. Didn't your father tell you that? Illusions? I don't understand. The royal sulphur doesn't exist, Leela. There is no such thing. Then how can I be a firework maker? I thought every firework maker needed some royal sulphur to become a true artist. Illusions, Leela. Fire burns away all our illusions. The world itself is all illusion. Everything that exists flickers like a flame for a moment and then vanishes. The only thing that lasts is change itself. There is no royal sulphur, an illusion. Everything outside the fire is illusion. But the three gifts, I don't understand. What are the three gifts, Razvani? Whatever they are, you must have brought them to me. And that was the last thing she heard from him. For as he said that, he dwindled away. For as he said, and the lake of fire darkened and became red rock, and then just rock, and all the myriad fire imps became little feeble sparks that floated aimlessly for a second and sank and went out at once. The grotto was bare again. Leela turned away from where the fire had been. She was dazed and disappointed, calm and curious, pleased and puzzled. In fact, she didn't know what she felt or who she was for a moment. But then she saw Chelak and ran to him. Chelak! You saved my life! And you're hurt, you're burned, let me help you. He was shaking his head and tugging at her hand. Don't waste any time, he said. We've got to hurry. Tell her as we go, Hamlet. They stumbled out of the grotto into the pale light of dawn, and Hamlet said, I'm sorry, Leela. I heard the birds talking at the foot of the mountain, and they said, Look, the white elephant. That's the very one who escaped from the city. And I asked the birds what he knew. And he said, the Firework-Maker helped you to escape. Someone saw and told the king, and now Lashand has been arrested, and he's going to be executed. Then he flew away to tell the other birds, Leela, we've got to go back as fast as we can. Don't waste time blaming anyone. Get on my back and hold tight. So, in a torment of fear that put Razvani and the royal sulphur and the three gifts completely out of her mind, Leela clambered up next to Chelak on the elephant's back and held on tight as Hamlet began to slither down the mountain in the light of dawn. I hope you all enjoyed that. It was quite an exciting scene, wasn't it, with Razvani? See you all soon. Bye now.